I feel like I never have to work again. Why? Because I was able to monetize my passion. This is what I would like to do for free, like what I used to do in my spare time. And now I'm able to earn a full-time living for it. And I was able to quit my job, and now it is the only thing that I do. But it doesn't feel like work, it feels more like play. And I truly believe that we live in the best time yet, basically, because we are the first generation that is able to use or leverage the internet at an early age, but we also were the last generation who knew a life without it. So we still don't have TikTok brains and stuff like that, but we are able to leverage the internet. And why it is so powerful is because of this. Like, picture this, like you can literally monetize any obsession that you have, any passion. So let's say 50 years ago, your obsession was dogs, for example. The only thing you were able to do was maybe have a dog walk service or something like that in your local village, because this is what it looked like. So this is you. This is you. And you have had your village. This represents the people you were directly connected to. But the people in your village, the chance that they also had an obsession for dogs or also like dogs really much, was very, very slim. So there were a lot of people in your village who didn't really share your passion or obsession. And yeah, like of course you were able to get some money because of it, but not like real generational wealth. But now, because of the internet, because of the algorithm, because of our ability to network with people, we are not confined within the boundaries of our village, of the people who are close to us location wise. So what is happening is there are a lot of other villages, with a lot of people. And of course, there are many people in those villages who don't share your passion either. Here also. And here also. But there are also a lot of people who do share your passion. One might be here, two might be here, one might be here. And there are not like 3 villages, because like there are literally 7 billion people on the planet. The chances that someone doesn't share your passion, it is like impossible. There are always people. If you have an obsession, then there are other people with that obsession. If you have a problem, then there are other people with that problem. If you have a goal, there are other people with that goal. And what the internet allows us to do is to basically connect with those people. And it has never truly been easier. Like when you wanted to become rich, 50 years ago, you needed to start a company, for example, you needed to find people. Usually it wasn't that fun, because like managing people, like who likes to manage people, like honestly. Now you can just start your business. It's completely free. All you need is a phone and an internet connection, basically, and you can start you can basically start monetizing as a one-person business and doing the things that you love to do. So this, like for example, what you can do, to stay in the example for the dog obsession, like when you were only confined to the village, you might be able to like take care of dogs, for example, or doing a walk service, something like that. But now, because other people have that obsession as well, you can, for example, make a video where you train your dog and he does like extraordinary things. And a lot of those people who also like dogs, they would find it really interesting, and you can go viral on a platform if you have if your skill level is really high in that area. And then what you can do is you can send all of that traffic to Skool, for example, the community platform. I love Skool, it's the best platform ever. But like you can send people to there, you can make a paid community because of it, you can also sell courses on how to train your dog, and this is how you can monetize your passion or your obsession. And also, like, not only can you monetize, but also can you learn, because there are a lot of people who might be ahead of you, who might know more about dogs, or who can do different things than you can, for example. And what you basically can do is pay them, and they will teach you like anything that you learn. I see mentorship as one of the greatest thing there is, because if somebody has the thing that you want to have, and if he's like a few steps ahead of you, it is super high leverage to learn from them. And this, yes, so this is basically how you can monetize any passion. Like I use the example for dog training, but it can be anything. It can be playing an instrument, for example. It can be something about health, like yoga, or like martial arts, or a sport. There's also like this community on Skool, which is about pickleball, and they make crazy amounts of money. But the point is, you can literally do anything that you like. And what can make it even more fun is gamification. So let me explain. There are certain elements to gamification. For example, there is your level, and your level is basically the hours that you put in. So the more hours you put in, the more experience you get, the higher your level is. So I am such a fan of input-based goals, because like you can focus on, oh, I need this many followers or this much money, for example, but that is not in your control. What is in your control is the hours that you put into something. And what is important to realize is quantity leads to quality. So if you put in a lot of time into something, you will become better at it. Like I noticed that because throughout my life, I had multiple obsessions. First, it was sports, football or soccer for the American watchers. Then it was playing the guitar. Then it was video games. Now it's like online business. But I noticed with all of these things, like at first I sucked at it. I was really bad. And I didn't like to do it. Because like when you are first starting with something, like nothing is a passion really. When you just started, you need some kind of extrinsic motivation, I feel like. But when you reach around the 1000 hour mark, it starts to become easier. You start to become better at it, and then it usually turns into a passion. So if you just put a lot of hours in, like 1,000 hours is good to get out of beginner's hell, and then like 10,000 hours is great to really master it. So if you focus on input-based goals instead of like the output-based goals, so for example, do 100 sales calls, for example, that should be your goal instead of closing this many clients, because it is a volume game, it is a numbers game. Or spend so many hours doing this, or being consistent with this habit for X amount of time, for example. So first, the level, really, really good to track that. Then there is your, basically your rank. And your rank is basically the money that you earn. Because I see money as a value exchange. So because like, how do we create value? By like alleviating pain. How do we alleviate pain? By solving problems. So if you are able to solve a lot of problems, then you are earning a lot of money, because you are able to deliver value. So the more value you can deliver, the more money that you will earn. So your rank, basically, like there is an average amount of money that a lot of people can earn. So if you earn way above the average, then you have a really high rank, because in comparison to other people, you are able to deliver or to give the market much more value. So rank is another one, that is like how much money you can earn. And the third one could be like areas, for example. Areas you can explore, because when you're playing a video game, you start at a very small area, and you basically, the more experience you get, the higher the rank you are, the more areas you can explore. And the areas is basically your skills. This is what I like about online business as like a lot, because like when you're working a 9 to 5, what I noticed is the first 6 months you're learning a lot. You yeah, like you learn new things, but eventually you start to get used to it. And yeah, of course you can get a promotion, but you are very confined. Like you can't grow a lot when you are having a 9 to 5, for example. But when you are in online business, there is like, you can constantly challenge yourself every time that you get comfortable, or that you develop a certain skill sets, and you can basically challenge yourself by learning a new skill, by doing a new thing. So the business, I feel like, is the ultimate tool for personal development, because like in a 9 to 5, after 2 years you've learned everything. So yeah, you can start a new job, but then you have to start all over again. In business, that is not the case. You can just start with your area, basically, with your certain skill level. So yeah, let me make this visual for you guys. So it is like, when you're just starting out, you have this area. This is your area that you have explored. But as soon as you start to feel comfortable with these things that you've learned, then you can explore like another area, and then another, and then another. And this is basically infinitely scalable. Like, I see it as like a jungle. So when you're in a jungle, for example, and you are trying to navigate it, and basically the area that you've discovered is basically your competence. And your competence, it shows you how much money you make, because like we talked earlier, if you're more competent, you're more able to solve valuable problems, and if you're able to solve more valuable problems, then you earn more money. So in a jungle, when you first start, it is really scary, really uncomfortable when you just start in. So you have to keep it small. Like, you have to build your home base. Basically, you have to explore a certain part of the jungle and make it your home base, and that is comfortable. Eventually you start to get used to it, you know where everything is. But what you can do is then explore like a different area, for example. And when you go in that new area, when you learn a new skill, it will feel very uncomfortable. You will feel lost. You won't have a good time. But it is when you're experiencing the most amount of discomfort, or when you feel lost, or when you experience pain, that is when you're growing, because that shows you that you're exploring like a new area. You are expanding your competence so that you can later earn more money. And once you've done this and you start being comfortable in this, you can do this, you can do this, and this is like infinitely scalable. Like, there is so much, like all of the people who earn a lot of money, they've explored a lot. But they, like even billionaires, they are not done with learning, because you are never done with learning. A lot of people, they think that learning stops after they graduate, but that is not true. Like, learning really stops on the day that you leave this earth. Basically, you're never done with learning. So yeah, that is why I like business as well, because you can pick any challenge that matches your skill level. Another way to look at it is the flow, basically, the flow state. So you have this graph, and this basically is the your skills, or the challenge. And this is like your skills. And like, there is, when you just start out, when your skill is not that high, then the challenge shouldn't be that high. Like here. So this in the middle is like the flow state. This is where your skill level matches the challenge. Like, if it is below here, this is like the boredom. So if your skill level is much higher than the challenge that you're taking on, then you are becoming bored. And this is what usually happens when you start a new 9 to 5, for example, and after 2 years you get used to it, you become bored, because your skill level doesn't match the challenge. When you go above this, basically, it is when your skill level doesn't match the challenge, so the challenge is bigger than you can take on, then there is anxiety. So the flow state is where you should be. So the progression in business, it's probably like this, right? Sometimes you have anxiety, sometimes you are bored, but if you stay most of the time within the flow state, then you're going in the right direction, basically. So yeah, this is very important, and this is only doable with business. So the also last thing I want to mention about this is how you can discover what the flow state is basically, okay, so what can I do when I have help? So usually when you can't do a challenge, for example, there are challenges you can do even with help. So let's say, for example, you get a mentor, and that mentor is helping you to become a millionaire. But if you haven't earned your first dollar yet, then it is far beyond your current skill level. But if, like, the flow state is if you can, like, so boredom is if you can do it yourself, then it is, the challenge is too easy. If you can do it even with help, then the challenge is too high. But if you can do it with help, but only with help, then it is the flow state. And this help could literally be anything. This help could be a book that you read, a video that you watched, or a mentor, for example. So if you learn for someone else and then you can take on the challenge, that means you're in the flow state. So yeah, we covered a lot, but to basically sum it up, you can monetize any passion, and you just should start a business, because there has never been a better opportunity than now. So yeah, bye.